Avatar fans, Season 2 of Netflix's live-action adaptation moves closer every single day, and I have not stopped thinking about it since Season 1 was released. I think there's a large amount of fans out there that would say that they thought Season 1 was great, but let's be real here, it did have its fair share of ups and downs. But with those downs comes the building blocks for what could be a phenomenal Season 2. I think what Season 1 did so well was leave us eager for more, and so because of that, I put together a list of some of the ways I think that this series can improve. We need to talk about the way forward. And before we dive in, if you're new around here, make sure that you smash like and then subscribe because I am all about ATLA around here. But from what I'm hearing, Season 2 is going to go into production in late 2024 and it's going to last about 6 months. And so the first thing that's on my list that I think that this season really needs to focus on is character development. When getting introduced to this live action adaptation, it was done in a similar way to the animated series. It's really quick and we're just kind of thrown on this adventure, but live action is different than animation, and when you're watching a real human acting, you're naturally just trained to want to identify with what they're going through and who they are. They can't just have like cartoon cardboard cutouts sitting on the screen. Like, it has to be a real authentic human being. And the characters in ATLA have some of the greatest story arcs in television. It's all there. We just need to feel it. Really, from Season 1, the only character that got the time that they deserved was Zuko. And I'd say the one that was lacking was Katara. I don't know if you guys are with me on this, but by episode 7 and her battle with Master Pakku, we should be invested at that point. And for me, upon all the rewatches that I've already done, it's just, I never get there. I never get there with the character. And there are a lot of things in this show that it's easier for me to attach myself to just because I'm such a big fan of the animated series. But that was one thing that I've definitely noticed. We just need more personal time spent with these characters, and we need them to really hone in on their journeys. Odds are that Season 2 is probably going to be the same exact length as Season 1, and so, I don't know, they're just going to have to figure it out. But next, I wanted to talk once again about faithfulness to the source material. I think that they've already shown that they can show things in a different order, and they can be unique while honoring the spirit of the original, and as long as they maintain that feel, I think I'll be happy. But even in the animated series, Season 1 is pretty straightforward. Season 2 gets complicated. Zuko and Azula get complicated. Aang and Katara get complicated. Hell, even Sokka and Momo get complicated. And so while I think it's gonna be okay to jump around and maybe gloss over some stuff, there are some moments of exposition that are just crucial to the story moving forward. Zuko alone, Lake Logai, just everything heading towards the crossroads of destiny. There's so much just jam-packed into this thing, and so to succeed, I feel like the writing needs to be spectacular when adapting all of these different ins and outs. The beats are what matter the most, not the vegetable or not like hip-hop beats. The story beats. Easily confused. And they seem to hit a lot of them in Season 1, but they need to nail them in Season 2. You guys know what I mean? Especially because this is it before Season 3. So for viewers that watched Season 1 and they were kind of on the edge of it, like whether they know the animated series or not, they finished Season 1 and they're like, that was okay, I guess I'll watch the second season. You have one more season to catch them, to completely hook them, to get them to return back and watch the third season, to watch the finale, you know? The second season, The Empire Strikes Back, I always say, it's just a very important time in storytelling. It's that middle of the road section where viewers will either check in or check out. But moving on, and this is something that I've kind of danced around because I have a hard time kind of like figuring out how to address it in the right way, but I just want to talk about the performances. I'm not gonna lie, I gave the first season a lot of leeway when it came to the kid actors because they're just that. They're child actors. They're kid actors. A lot of these are young adults and younger kids. And some of them, I will say, turned in some rock solid, no pun performances. Ousley, Dallas Liu. But the two that did not, and I might get some hate for this, but Aang and Katara. Kiawentiio and Gordon Cormier. Yes, they are young, but some of the emotional moments with Gordon in the first season just don't hit as much as I want them to. And to make this work, we need to believe Aang. Both of these actors are obviously very talented, and what I'm hoping is that they're now a little bit more relaxed maybe, and are just given some freedom to flex a bit, flex those acting chops. This isn't the first season anymore, and so there's not all of that added pressure of like, oh man, we gotta nail this so we get a season 2 and 3. We're at Season 2 now. And then the other side of this is that there's gonna need to be some form of romantic tension. Way way more than season 1, and there was none in season 1. Aang and Katara growing together is one of the most important aspects to the entire series, and so I know they're kids, and they were kids in season 1, and so I get really not including a lot of that because it's just a little bit uncomfortable, but now with them both being teenagers, I'm hoping that we at least see some semblance of romance, just as much as they put in the cartoon in season 2, and that's not much, but we just need something. And as for the other actors and their performances, I think Elizabeth Yu, Azula is very important as well as Daniel Dae Kim, Ozai. There's a lot riding on this second season. I can't reinforce that enough. I can't emphasize that enough, and I'm very much hoping that a lot of time and care is given to these young actors to really prepare for these moments, and that the creatives that are all involved understand how important these moments are and how important these characters are. But next is something that I already hinted at, but it's the biggest complaint that I've heard of season 1 so far, and that is the writing. A good adaptation is way more than just putting animated scenes to live action and expecting success. There's a vast mixture of elements at work here, and the writing and dialogue is one of the biggest. Too many scenes in season 1 felt jam-packed with exposition being blurted out by the characters, and the entire time you learned nothing about the characters themselves. And now that this world has been built out, and you've given people a chance to get a feel for it, it's time to get personal. It's time for this writing to really hone in. The world building can be show, don't tell. From this point on, a good story is about compelling characters, not compelling worlds. And, sorry if I get like super passionate here, but you're literally working with 3 or 4 of the greatest characters of all time. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm just a super fan. But Aang, Katara, Zuko, Azula, these are some of the most incredible pieces of fiction ever, man. So use them. Show us why they're so beloved. The writing really just needs to be dialed in for this second season, and honestly, I have a gut feeling that it will be, especially with that being such a loud critique that season 1 got. But that's really a majority of the stuff that's on my list. I do have one more, and honestly, this is probably the most important one. The last thing I think that they can improve on is Appa and Momo. And if you're familiar with my channel and my coverage of Avatar The Last Airbender, you'll know that I'm a massive fan of Appa and Momo, and they were done so right in the original series, and I feel like season 1, it was nice just seeing them, but I want to see the relationship. Like, I want to see more of that relationship between Sokka and Momo. There are moments in season 1, you got them both like carrying all that food and stuff like that, but I want to see Aang and Appa. We got Appa's Lost Days coming up in season 2. Let's hope that they actually go there. I want to feel the emotion because Appa and Momo are characters in the series. They're not just animals that are just hanging around. Appa and Momo are a part of this story too, and they need the screen time, so that's all I'll say on that. But guys, there's so much that we could talk about when heading into season 2, and I just want to hear all of your comments. What else do you think that they could do? And also, what do you think about what I'm saying here? Do you think any of this makes sense? Do you think these are the biggest things that they need to improve upon? Please don't hesitate to go down to the comments and let me know all of that down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. But aside from that, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and keep up the good vibes, my friends. Peace!